Hey everyone, welcome back. In this video, we are going to explore the end-to-end implementation of how to connect your database to Azure Cognitive Search and then connect Azure Cognitive Search to Azure OpenAI services. This was one of the video that we used to connect the blob storage where you placed your documents. So now instead of blob storage, we'll be connecting it to the Azure SQL server so that it directly connects to your data. Okay, let's start. Okay, the first thing first, we'll be starting to create a Azure SQL database. Let's also create a SQL server. All right, so let me just rename this. Okay, this will be a development server and I'm going to configure it based on the DTOs and I'll select the basic pricing, basic service tier, then review and create. By the time this is getting deployed, let's also prepare the data that we need to feed to our Azure SQL database. So what I'll do, I'll ask ChatGPT to create a SQL query for me so that I can just copy paste and run it in the SQL server. So I just gave a sample SQL prompt which I am asking it to create a table with name quantum and add three columns ID, question and answer. Also insert records to the table with 50 question and answer pairs. So I'm going to give a theme quantum computing. The reason I asked it to generate 50 question and answer pairs just to give you how powerful can this implementation be if you have a huge amount of data. So this our query is ready. Let's copy it and run it into Azure SQL database. So I'll just go here to the query editor into my SQL DB. The first login will always fail because I need to configure the firewall so that it allows my IP address to be passed through. Okay, and also along with that, the public access is denied. So what I'll do, I'll just go to overview, set server firewall, selected networks, and also let me allow Azure services so that I don't have to worry about connecting this SQL DB. to other Azure services, and I'm going to add my client IP address so that the location, the IP I'm accessing this DB should be allowed. Okay, so now let's go to the query editor again. Now it is logged in. Create a new query, paste it. Okay, so this time I'm going to directly run this one. Okay, so incorrect syntax near auto increment. Okay, and also let me just copy this error message. I'm not that good in SQL syntax. Okay, perfect. So this is a new query with the updated syntax. So let me just copy this and paste it here. Okay, this time let's run it. Fail to execute, string or binary data would be truncated in table. Column answer truncated value. Just okay. Truncated entanglement is a phenomenon where two or more qubits become correlated to each other. Okay, okay. Maybe there seems to be something. Okay, let me just get this error message. Length of the answer column in the table is not enough to store the entire. Okay, in that case, let me just make this as 1000. Okay, now we have all the 65 rows present in our table. Now it's time to just query it so that we can see all the data. Okay, here it is. Okay, that's fine. Now what we'll do, we'll just create cognitive search and connect our SQL DB to that. Let me go to the, okay, let me just create a new tab, and in that new tab, let me create a cognitive search. The reason I'm selecting the basic tier because the semantic search is not yet supported in the free one. It is supported, but not for some of the data sources. So in order to avoid the later issues, so I'm just selecting the basic tier at the start itself. Okay, it's perfect. Now let's click on import data. Existing data source, let's select Azure SQL database and choose an existing connection. I'm going to choose the current DB that we just created. Since we have not configured the managed identity, so it will be none. And here let's give it a name. And also the password of your DB. Test connection. Remember, if you have not enabled that server firewall option where you're excluding or except giving that exception of connecting through Azure resources, it will not succeed. It will throw an error that you're not cognitive search is not able to connect to your database. In that case, you need to go to your server firewall and configure that setting. And here choose the table that you want to connect to. Here also there are many services that you can perform, or I can say some enhancement you can perform on your data, such as extract people name, location, key phrases, detect language. For our requirement, will not do anything over here. We'll just go next. Here, this is the important piece. Let me just first change the index name. Okay, and also let me copy so that I can give the same name for the indexer. This is a very important piece where you select the fields that you want to retrieve, filter, sort, fetchable, searchable. Okay, now I'm going to retrieve all the fields while I query this cognitive search. You might want to disregard some of the fields, but yeah, in my case I have only these three columns, so I want to retrieve all of them. Okay, so I'm not going to perform these operations, but you might want to consider selecting them if you want to filter them with certain fields. For example, if I have a field called department, and if your users are from that department, you might want to filter them and show data based on the department. That is for this is used. Similarly, here you have other operations as well, so I'm not going to consider them as of now. Searchable. Searchable is what will be used to look into your data. So currently I have my data into these columns. So I will send my user's query and it will search in both the columns, question and answer, and it will get me the best answer possible. Okay. If you want to only search in the answer, you can choose that. But I also want to check based on the question and the answer. Okay. Let's go next. This is the indexer. Indexer is what is used to connect to your data sources and schedule. If your data is constantly increasing or modified, then you can maintain a schedule so that indexer will connect to your data source and get you the updated data. There was one more advanced feature available here below the schedule for the soft delete. If a data is deleted in the SQL DB and you don't want to index that to cognitive search, they give an option to you for the soft delete. Soft delete means if you have a column into your SQL database which named as is deleted and it's a boolean value, true or false, then cognitive search will automatically see that column and delete that data from your cognitive search index. But I'm not sure why that feature is not available here, but sometimes we do get an option here. Okay, let's submit this. Okay, perfect. So before going to the Azure OpenAI, let's first click on Search Explorer and test our index. As of now, I'm not going to put any query. That means I'm just retrieving all the data available in my index. So let's click on search. Here you can see it is retrieving ID, question and the answer. And my search query is none. It just star, basically everything. Okay. So it gets me everything. If at all you have data which is greater than some 50 rows, you might be getting this property skip. That means at one query response, you will only get 50 records. For the next set of records, you can query this one, next link. This is the URL where it queries the next set of data. Okay, so this is how you can query all your data at once shot. Okay, now let me just give a sample query. What is quantum computing? Okay, so it gave me some responses, and this is the response which is having the highest score. So it's not that good response because currently it is doing keyword based search. It is matching your keywords and it is just searching based on the keyword. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to implement the semantic search for this one. Currently I'm not getting that feature here. In order to enable the semantic search, what you're going to do, click on semantic search, select the plan, go back to the search explorer. Now you will see this query option here. Click on that, enable the semantic search. Also, if you want to enable the spell correction so that before passing this to the semantic search, it will correct the spellings and give the better response. Currently, I do not have a configuration. Let's create a new one. So I'm name this as rewrite semantic config. Okay. This title field should be a concise description of the document. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to only select the ID as the title field. If you have a title field, you can select that. Here it asks you to select the content fields. In my case, first priority I am giving to the answer. The second priority I am giving it to the question. So it is based on the priority. If you look at the definition, content field should contain text in natural language form. Common examples of content are text of a document, the description of a product, or other free-form text. Make sure to list content fields in order of priority because lower priority fields may get truncated or ignored. So the first priority I am giving to the answer and the second priority I am giving it to the question. Now, if at all you have some keyword fields such as those comma separated fields, you can select them. As of now, I do not have any. I'm going to leave this as blank. So save it and select your configuration here. And now let me ask the same question again. The good part about semantic search is that it gives you the scoring out of 0 between 0 to 1, and you can analyze that. Okay, this is the best answer and show it to the user. Okay, see here, it is giving me a response from the row number 66. Basically this is the key of my table, primary key, the ID column, and the score is 99%. Even this is also 99. Both of them are just slightly both of them are same score. Yeah, that's good. So I can pick any of them. So let's see what is the 66th question and also what is the first question. Let me just go to the 66th one. Yeah, 66 is what is quantum computing. That's the exact match. So you must have seen now the comparison between both the keyword based search and the semantic search. So now you can easily compare which is the better option. Yes, it's semantic search is the better option. It's very accurate. Okay, and let's see what is the first question. What is quantum computing? Basically both of them are the same question, but yeah, You need to, if you are generating some question and answer pairs using the OpenAI services or ChatGPT, you need to make sure that you remove the duplicates that it might generate. This is one of the case where it is generating duplicate responses, but that's fine. Our response is very much accurate. What Azure OpenAI will do when we connect this cognitive search, it will take the first three responses and it will formulate a better response to show it to the user. Currently, the text which is here is very limited. Yeah. Azure OpenAI will formulate this into a better user-facing response. Okay. Now, now it's time for us to connect this cognitive search index to our Azure OpenAI. Let's see if I have a resource ready with me. Let's quickly check. Okay, I have a resource. By the way, I got the GPT-4 access in Japan East region, but for this demo, I'm not going to use that because most of our viewers might not have GPT-4 access. So I'm just going to use the normal way. All right. So first thing first, let's create a new deployment of 3.5 Turbo. Select the model and let's select the GPT 3.5 Turbo and create. Okay, now let's go to the chat option, add your data, add data source, select the cognitive search, select the resource, and also the index that we just created. Yeah, go next. Here, this will again ask that same question. Remember, it will only show you the columns which you have selected while creating the index. Okay, so here also it only shows you the column which you have selected, and here it's also, let me just select answer and the question both based on the priority. Let's see if that priority is still applicable here. Okay, it's not that applicable. Okay, that's fine. Okay, file name is the one that will be shown below your responses if it is getting you citations. So this file name will be the, let me just quickly test it. Option is whether in your data that contains the original file name of each document. Okay, yeah, that's the correct. So it will be the name of your citation reference which will be shown. So I'm going to use the question for my file name, and also the title will be the title of your citation and the URL will be the source URL. Currently we don't have any, so I'm just giving the answer. So just to show you how the citations will look like and how you can make use of that. Okay, let's go next. This is the place where we will be selecting the semantic search configuration. So if you have not created a semantic search configuration, it will not come here and your responses might be somewhat not that accurate. So the reason I'm selecting is to make my responses more accurate. Save and close. Okay, now my data is now perfectly connected. Let's say hi to the bot. Okay, let me ask the same question. Yeah. Okay, quantum computing is an area of computing, that's fine. So here you can see this is the citation title that I was selecting it there. If I click on that, this is the title. Oh, sorry, this is the file name. This is the title. This is the URL. Okay. Now let me ask something else. What is qubit? Let's see what is it is referring to. What is the significance of the qubit? That's my file name. This is my title. This is my source URL. I'm just referring it as source URL since it is not a source URL, but I'm referring that because if you have any and if you have selected that, it will be coming up here. The source URL I have selected is as the content, the answer. The title I am selected as the question. The file name I am selected as the question again. Okay, perfect. So now let's ask the question we always ask just to check that it's only referring to our database and not to any other sources. Okay, perfect response. The requested information is not available in the retrieved data. Please try another query or topic. So now we are confirmed that it's only focusing on our document or not any other document. So let's see what is a computer. Okay, we do have some responses here. What is quantum computing? So that's fine. Okay, we have our chatbot ready, but it's only available on the Azure OpenAI Studio. We might want to connect this to our custom application, that is our main use case, and we will be connecting this to a Microsoft Teams chatbot using Microsoft Bot Framework. Okay, so just stay tuned. Here you have JSON. This JSON will contain all the messages you have asked in the current chat. This is useful for you to analyze the syntax, how you want it to implement in your custom application. Okay, all right. Okay, let's go to our Visual Studio and start creating. If you want to learn about this Microsoft Bot framework, I have many of them. I have many of the videos in my previous implementations, so you can look at it. And if you want to learn how we got this templates here, it's a bot framework templates available for Visual Studio. You can also look at our previous videos to learn more about it. Okay, let's start with DB Cognitive Search AI bot. Okay, let's create. Perfect. Let's go to our EchoBot class. Let me show you what this current bot does and then we can build on top of this. Let's start it. We can test in the bot framework emulator. That's a local application, desktop application where you can test your bot locally. Connect. The use case for this particular bot is very simple. Whatever you say, it will reply back with an echo. Okay. Now let's continue developing. We have these two methods available, the main ones. I'm not going to look at the working of the whole source code. I'm just going to focus on only this method on message activity. So let me tell you what these two method does. This one on members, whenever you start a conversation, this will show a welcome message to the user. This is where it sends the welcome message. So initially we got this message, hello and welcome. Another method we have is onMessage activity. This method will be invoked only when there is a message from the user, and it will just append the echo keyword to the user message and it will send back the response. Yeah. So let me just get rid of these two and just write down the user query that we received, and also let's write it as GPT response. And I'm going to pass on the user query as a parameter. Okay, let's create a method for this. Okay, that's fine. I have my method ready. Let's make it as async. Let's get rid of this piece and go back to our chat playground. We might want to get the custom URL as well as the body parameters from the network tab. Okay, this we have already done in our last video. So let me just say quantum computing just to get the response back. Okay, this should be the response, I guess. Yeah, this is the response. This is my URL, request URL. Let me show you on the Postman so that I can directly copy paste the code. Yeah, this is the place that we did it last time, and let me copy paste again because our this URL is changed. Okay, and let me add the payload. Click on view source. Let me just clear the chat and ask us new questions so that my request payload will be limited. Okay, so I have now a limited request payload. I'll click on this view source. Just copy the JSON body as it is. Go to Postman and paste it. Let's click on Beautify. Perfect. Now I have my question here. What is quantum computing? Okay, next thing that we need is the API key. Let me just get that. Okay, so as you can see, we have a streaming response. In order to change that, I just need to change this property from true to false. And I just send a new request, and this time I'll get the response without streaming. And this is my answer. This is my citations. Okay, perfect. Now it's time for me to copy this code and just paste it in my chatbot. Over here, I'll just paste this one. Okay. And also let me get rid of this JSON body. The reason being, I'll be just formatting it automatically by the Visual Studio feature. So I'm just going to copy this complete JSON body, come here and paste it again. This time it is slightly formatted compared to that. No, it's the same thing, but that's fine. Okay. I had to just use interpolation. Okay, now it's perfectly formatted based on the interpolation. Now let me just replace this question with the user query. Perfect. Okay, you can also get all this configuration from the app settings.json, but for the demonstration purpose and for the quick implementation, I'm just putting it as it is. Okay, then I don't want to print on the console. Okay, I have now read my JSON response as the string. Now I need to convert that to a JSON object and just get this response. Okay, so I need to go to choices, um, return string. Okay, before that, let me just convert that to result object equals to j object dot parse result. Okay, now I can use here result object. Okay, the first is choices, first element under choices. Next is messages, second element in the messages. Under messages we have the content. Okay, perfect. Now I can replace the return type with the task string. Perfect. Now I have the GPT response, and let me send that to the chat window. Okay, let's first test in the emulator. Let me ask what is quantum computing. You can replace this doc1 with an empty string. If at all you have multiple references, you can use regex to replace all the references with the empty string so that you get a perfect response without any citations. If at all you need citation, you can also include another response to include the citation. Here the citation is here. Content that will be on the first element of messages inside content. Okay, we have this ready. Now it's time for us to deploy this implementation. Okay, so to deploy it to Microsoft Teams as a chatbot, we need to create Azure bot resource. So let's go ahead and create it. By the time this is getting ready, let me just give the multi-tenant that is the resource type that we have. Okay, this seems to be completed. Let me just copy it directly from here. A multi-tenant is my bot type, and this is my app ID. You can click on manage password, create a new client secret, copy it and paste it here. Perfect. Now you can easily deploy this solution. For multi-tenant, tenant ID is not required. Let me publish this to Azure, selecting the windows. Let's choose the resource group that we just created and hosting plan, new hosting plan. Okay, let me choose the free tier. Okay, create. By the time these resources are getting created, let me just enable the Microsoft Teams channel in my Azure bot. Perfect. You can see the list of channels your bot is connected to. By default, direct line and web chat will be automatically added. For Microsoft Teams, we just added now. Okay, this resource is created. Now our publish profile is also created. We can directly publish now. Perfect. It will take just a minute for this to get completed. Currently, I'm not following any best practices because my configuration is currently hard coded into my app settings.json. For production environment, these need not be here, either they need to be on the app service configuration or in the key vault. But as of now, I just put them into my local configuration. For the quick demonstration, and also I'm not creating any manifest, but that is the recommended way if you are connecting your chatbot to Microsoft Teams. I already have many videos on that in our JD Bots channel. You can always look at the latest series where we have demonstrated how you can create manifest and upload that manifest to Microsoft Team App Store. This is the one. Learn how to upload Teams app manifest. This is a video that will help you. Okay. Now let me just go and directly open the Microsoft Teams link. From here, let me just go to channels and open in Teams. Before that, this will not work. The reason being, I need to put the endpoint URL. So I just copied this configuration, paste it, API slash messages. Okay. Before testing on Microsoft Teams, let me show you how it will work in the web chat. This is test in web chat. So it allows you to test whether your deployment is completed or not, whether your deployment is not having any issues. If it works here, it will work anywhere. Perfect. Now we can go to channels, open in Teams. Let me open the web browser. Okay. Initially, I'll get a welcome message. If it is in manifest, I can automatically get a welcome message, but when you open directly, you might get or you might not get. So this is kind of, unless you initiate a conversation, you'll not get a welcome message. Okay, now you have the welcome message. Let me ask my question. Perfect. Now we have successfully connected our Azure OpenAI with the SQL DB using cognitive search and also created a chatbot that is connected to the Microsoft Teams. If you want to follow the best practices, I would recommend you watch my multi-cloud series where we followed the best practices for the Microsoft Teams chatbot. Okay, perfect. Thanks everyone. Have a great day.